Good evening. My name is Kate Mahoney. I'm here from the Naomi Ruth Cohen Institute for Mental Health Education at the Chicago School of Professional Psychology. I'm really delighted tonight to have a guest with us, Asma Afridi, who is a licensed clinical professional counselor. She trained at both Northwestern University and then got her master's degree at DePaul University. And she's here today and she's going to talk to us about a really wonderful movement that's happening, which is really mindful parenting. And we're going to talk more about what we can learn as parents in terms of how to be helpful to our children by teaching mindfulness and incorporating mindfulness into our parenting. I just want to mention that Asma is, as I said, a licensed clinical professional counselor in private practice. Her experience previously, she'd done work both in schools and in a variety of clinical settings, and she really finds this an effective way in terms of helping families. So we're really excited to have her here today. And so I think before we really get started in terms of talking specifically about mindful parenting, could you talk to us a little bit more about mindfulness and the difference between mindfulness in general and what some people think about in terms of meditation?
Sure. Thank you for having me, first of all. It's a pleasure being here. So, according to John Kabat-Zinn, who is the founder of mindfulness-based stress reduction program, and he's a leading authority on mindfulness, it is the awareness that we gain by paying attention in the moment, on purpose, and without judgment to what is going on inside our minds and inside our bodies and around us. Mindfulness itself, it's a skill. It is using all our senses to be in the moment and kind of get a sense of what we're thinking in the moment, what we're feeling in the moment, and how to react in the moment, depending on what situation we're in. So overall, the opposite of mindfulness would be mindlessness. Mindfulness is when we choose our responses in a certain situation, and relative to mindlessly reacting to situations. Now, for the second part of your question, the difference between mindfulness and meditation.
Yes.
Meditation, as we all know, is more of a formal practice. So the way I like to explain it to my clients is that meditation is something we want to do at some point during the day, where we find a quiet place, close our eyes, and try to tune in inside of us. It's an awareness of our inner life and our inner world. Whereas, as you can imagine, mindfulness is something we should be practicing throughout our day. In fact, mindfulness is best utilized when the day is getting chaotic or stressful, or there's anxiety, stressful situations. So mindfulness is the awareness of our outer life and how we respond to it. So
I think that's really helpful. I think sometimes when people hear about something like mindful parenting, they might think, I'm so busy, I don't have time to do something like meditate, because people maybe have heard about mindful meditation. But you're really talking about skills and strategies, right, that people can incorporate into their daily lives as they're going along, and juggling all the many things that parents juggle between their maybe multiple children and their careers and the tasks of daily living. So you're talking about something that people can really utilize in the moment.
Yes.
Right. And it sounds like maybe if people were able to eke out a little time in the morning or the evening for themselves to meditate, that might add to their experience, but that's not a requirement for being a mindful parent.
Definitely, Kate. So meditation and mindfulness are both skills that we can practice. They're both, even if you haven't learned it before, it's skills that we can gain, and we can practice and put it in our toolbox to deal with the messiness of life. But mindfulness is more in the moment. It's more you use during the whole day when your child is having a tantrum or your teenager is giving you sass, or you're dealing with, I mean, not as a parent, but in just work situations, college, academic situations, any situations. Mindfulness is more, okay, what am I thinking? How am I feeling? And how am I going to choose to respond to this situation?
And I think that's such an important point, right, is that we do have a choice of how to respond. And part of why we were so interested in having you on our show is that idea about helping people realize that these are skills we can learn. Sometimes when people talk about parenting, I think they sort of feel like you're a good parent or you're a bad parent, and it's something you're born with or innately. The moment your child is born, it's determined. And I love the approach that you take with families, which is that we can keep building our skills, adding to our toolbox, as you say, and making life easier for us, and really helping our children to have also, when we add to our toolbox, just by example, we are helping our children, whether they're toddlers, middle schoolers, or high school students, really understand that they have options and can learn new ways of coping, and that they also have power to choose how to respond to situations.
Definitely. So, as a parent, we want the best for our child. We have the best of intentions. We love our children. However, best of intentions are not gonna make them be resilient and give them those skills that they need to have a healthy mental balance for the rest of their lives. So when a child is born, when any human is born, the brain starts creating these circuits and these maps on how to interact with the world around them. And so the first people they have as teachers are as parents. The first people that teach our children are ourselves. So by the time children are about 2 to 3 to 4 years old, already their minds are being creating these circuits that teach them how to be compassionate, be kind, be resilient, gain some control over their emotions and everything. And we are teaching them. The way we parent them, we teach them how to react to hopefully respond to certain situations, and how to manage the emotions, and how to navigate different things, and how to navigate our interactions with the world. Mindful parenting comes from the background that when we, as parents, show them how to interact with each other and connect with each other on a more deeper basis and in a more empathetic way and in a more connected way, they are going to learn how to do the same as they get older. And they will create these networks in their minds and these maps and these circuits throughout their lifespan, and we will put them on a good road for success when it comes to mental health.
That's really powerful. I think the way you think about this in terms of for your first job, and what it sounds like you do a lot in your role, is you're helping to teach or train parents on certain skills, and that then when they implement that within their family, that they are similarly teaching or training their children how to develop new skills. And this whole notion, I love that your message is that we have options and choices about how to react. And even when something's very frustrating, or we feel like our back's up against the wall with a really critical situation, you're basically saying, if people are living in the moment, if they're giving themselves that gift of taking time to think about what they're experiencing and then how they want to choose to move forward. That's so powerful, and it's really nice that I think the metaphor that you as the therapist are helping train parents and support them in trying out new skills and how that worked, and then the parents in turn are helping their children learn some of those same skills, partly just by observation, but also that you're probably teaching them how they can explain it to their children as well in terms of what they can do.
Definitely.
So that seems really, really, really powerful.
Definitely.
And so when you think about how mindful parenting sort of helps a child, how might you describe that if someone were thinking about, gee, maybe even I already have a couple of kids, do I want to try something new? Can I try something new? I think a lot of parents would do it if they felt like they could see the benefit for their children.
Sure. So it's never too late. Actually, I just learned about this mindfulness, the whole movement, and what it does to the brains when my kids were in high school. So and I started implementing them, and I realized how effective it is. So a couple of things. Physically, and I'm going to talk about benefits as far as physical benefits and then mental benefits.
Sure.
So physically, right off the bat, kids learn how to calm themselves down and calm their nervous system down. They learn, they get better when it comes to focus and attention. Mindfulness is very powerful when dealing with kids who have ADHD. And also it improves their sleep and their energy levels and how alert they are during the day and in their activities and everything. So these are just like off the bat physical gains.
Those are fabulous gains.
Right. Mentally, you are giving your children the tools to, like I said, manage their emotions when things get stressful. When they start having negative thoughts or negative self-destructive feelings, you are helping them, reduce those stressful feelings by using mindfulness techniques. Mindfulness has shown to build empathy. Empathy is the big word these days.
Indeed.
Compassion, and also it teaches kindness. I think just those benefits are big enough. Plus, you are also teaching your child to be receptive and curious in a situation when they're facing some struggles, versus them being just reactive and not being able to handle their anxiety in situations.
And I think you've named right there some qualities that a lot of parents really value for their children. They want their children to be kind, compassionate, empathic, and curious. And that those skills and qualities help children when they're in school. They will help them eventually as adults in terms of their interpersonal relationships and in the workforce. So it really sounds like you're talking about developing young people and by providing them skills and support to really be good people who can be accomplished and also have a peacefulness or a centeredness in their lives. One of the things I realized when you were talking about sort of saying that, that you learned about mindfulness and started applying it as a parent with your own children, and talking about the mindfulness movement, and certainly you talked about the work of Jon Kabat-Zinn. But interestingly, mindfulness is also really built, though, right, on some very core sort of ancient principles, so that some people might see it as a newer movement, and you could go to some of the large bookstores and see lots of books on mindfulness. But when you look at peel away the layers, the core principle maybe goes back to this notion that's existed for a long time about us being true to ourselves and listening to sort of being integrated in body, mind, spirit.
Definitely. The roots of mindfulness are back in Eastern cultures, and the West integrated it and did the scientific studies and everything else. But at the end of the day, it is in this society so useful because everything is moving at such a faster pace. And when it comes to children specifically, they live in a society which is inundated with social media and life moving at such fast paces. To have the skill to be mindful and be, like you said, aware of your thoughts and aware of how your body reacts to certain things and how you can choose to respond is a huge skill for our kids to have these days. And like you said, it also helps build connectedness.
Right.
Connectedness with yourself, the whole mind-body thing, and also connectedness with your peers, with your families, with other people for the rest of your life.
And that responds to something that we've had callers talk about in the past on our show. Parents who are a little worried about the role of social media and technology in their children's lives, and feeling like our children getting away from interpersonal relationships and losing some true interpersonal skills in service to instead technology. So one of the other things as you were talking occurs to me is that this is a nice way of people, they might still use all those wonderful technology skills, but you're also teaching them those interpersonal skills to be more comfortable and aware of themselves, and to think about how they're interacting with others, and in relation to others.
Definitely.
So that's something I know a lot of parents are trying to figure out, that right balance, and it sounds like the way that you approach things would help people do that. The other thing I love, as you've talked about your practice is exciting, is sometimes I think people think, oh, I would go see a therapist or a licensed clinical professional counselor if we were having a problem. But you're actually talking about a very proactive approach, skill building, and saying, things might be going along pretty well in your family, but if you'd like to learn some new skills, be proactive, teach your children some new, give them more, as you said again, in their toolbox, this might be a really positive, proactive thing to do, is to seek out some training and support around mindful parenting so that people can enhance the quality of their lives. They don't have to wait for there to be a problem, right?
No, Kate, as a high school counselor, as a parent, but more so as a high school counselor, and then now in my therapy practice, I see a lot of adolescents who are highly anxious. And anxiety is, I would say, the number one issue I've seen in the adolescents that I work with. And my go-to thing is mindfulness for these kids, because these kids have never learned the skills to manage their emotions. Just like I teach them how to manage their time, because there's so much going on in their lives. Managing themselves is also extremely important, and it helps even teenagers, when they learn the skill of mindfulness, to get a little grasp when their emotions and feelings feel like they're gonna get out of control.
That just seems like such a gift. I think, certainly we have, again, on our show, people call in and talk about how hard it is sometimes to be a parent today, and all that parents are facing and all that they feel like their children are facing, whether they're talking about teenagers or even some of their younger children, in terms of juggling multiple priorities, juggling some social stressors. And so this idea of having, again, more resources, more skills to help each of us navigate through this is really exciting. And so it seems like a very positive way. And if people were interested in learning more about mindfulness in general and or mindful parenting, do you have some suggestions?
Yes. So a couple of my favorite books on mindfulness are by Dan Siegel. He has written The Whole Brain Child with Tina Bryson, and he's also written a book called Parenting Inside Out. Both of these books are, just my go-to books, and you as parents the viewers as parents are going to get a lot of good suggestions and good tips from these books. And another one is another book is Mindful Parenting in a Messy World. It is by Michelle Gale, and she also has a podcast, which is really, really nice to listen to. And she also has these free online conferences that she has, and in fact one of them is starting tomorrow for 3 days, free online conferences where you can see speakers talk about mindful parenting.
Oh, how fabulous. That's a great resource for people to know about, so they could probably just kind of Google mindful parenting and find out. We'll try and get a link up to that up on the Naomi Ruth Cohen Institute website as well, so that people who want to learn more about mindful parenting could access that also through our website. So we'll try and work on making that happen as well. I just feel like you are giving people such hope and such helpful resources that, again, are very positive. People don't have to be feeling like there's anything going wrong or challenge in their family, but thinking about how can I feel more competent and comfortable as a parent, and how can I give my children more tools and resources. And so I think that has been such a great gift, and I really want to thank you for coming to the show today.
Thank you.
This will be a kind of a dialogue that we'll have in the future too, more ideas about ways people can be parenting their children. You should look to our website for options. I do want to do a follow-up to one of our previous shows. We've been talking a lot, and those of you who watch us regularly know that the Naomi Ruth Cohen Institute does a lot of work with veterans and focusing on veteran mental health and promoting that. And we've been talking about this collaborative project that we're doing called the Telling Project, where we'll have local veterans telling their stories on a staged production. They're telling their own stories in their own words, but it'll be done at the Piven Theater up in Evanston. And what I really want to emphasize, and I'm going to flip to it for a minute so you'll see a little bit more about the Telling Project on your screen, that people can call the Piven Theater if they're veterans to get free tickets to these performances. It's really important to us that we want to make sure that any veteran who would like to come and see one of the productions, and they open on October 11th at the Piven Theater on Noyes Street in Evanston, would be able to come and see these productions for free. So I'm going to put that information up now just so that people can see a little bit about how they can access the Telling Project and see what we can do to get you. We're having a little bit of a glitch here. I'm just going to try one more time to see if I can get that up on the screen for you. And if not, if you check out the Naomi Ruth Cohen website, you'll be able to find out that information. So we wanted to let you know that the Telling Project at the Piven Theater opens on Thursday, October 11th, and that there are free tickets available to any veterans who might be watching the show today. So please make sure that you follow up with that as well. We're really excited that next month we're going to be focusing on, again, on minority mental health issues. There's the Black Mental Health Expo that's coming up. And Sylvia Corcoran will be here on October 15th to talk more about some of the many offerings that are going to be offered at the Black Mental Health Expo that's going to be happening in Chicago. So we hope that some of you will be tuning in for us on Monday, October 15th as well to learn more about that. And as we get ready to wrap up, I just can't thank you enough, Asma, for having been here and I think really shed light for a number of parents on more that they can do, but on things that are not hard to do, right? So I felt like your message is people can learn these skills and implement them fairly easily in their families, but certainly they can take courses if they want. They can learn online or by reading one of the books you recommended, or they could see a therapist like you who really has expertise in this area, and seeing a counselor, a licensed clinical professional counselor, or a therapist of a variety of backgrounds who does work in the mindfulness area might be really helpful. So you've really offered, I think, a great resource for parents, and I really want to thank you for making the time. I know that you have a busy practice and you are already helping a lot of people, but that you took time out today to come and share your expertise with us and with our viewers. We're really grateful for that. So
My pleasure.
Great. We hope that we'll be able to have you back in the future. I think it'd be really helpful. Thank you so much. And again, to our viewers, we thank you for being here today, and we'll look forward to seeing you on Monday, October 15th.